conscious discipline in a world of chaos. Hey, it's Heather Chauvin, wife, mother of 3 boys, former social worker, breadwinner, recovering hustler, and stage 4 cancer survivor. I'm not a fan of that term, by the way. Beyond all of these titles and labels, I'm a human being, just like you, attempting to navigate it all while feeling good. My goal on this podcast is to show you that you can live an energized, sustainable life both at home and in your work. It doesn't matter if you stay at home full-time, if you work from home, you're a CEO, a successful business owner, or trying to find some inspiration. On this show, I attempt to keep it real with stories, interviews, and random thoughts. This is not a business or career podcast, and it's not a parenting podcast. It's both and so much more. You will laugh. You may even cry, and you may even get a little frustrated with the truth you've been hiding from yourself. I believe all human behavior is a language, whether it's through your child's behavior, your health, or a relationship. And when we learn to listen instead of react, we begin to understand what it truly means to feel alive and in control. It's time to put your big girl pants on and find your brave. Let's go. All right, ladies, I'm back, and today I have a very special episode for you. I did an interview with who has become one of my dear friends. She is a client, and she is actually a coach inside of my mastery coaching program. Her name is Diane Sorensen, and she came to me about 2 years ago as a teacher, a facilitator inside the classroom with children. And she fell in love with conscious discipline. Conscious discipline is like conscious parenting, where we can actually feel good about how we are treating children. There's no shame, there's no blame here. And it is definitely an intuitive tool that is a practice. And Diane started teaching conscious discipline within her classrooms, changing the behaviors of children and how they responded. And then from there, her mentors, the principal noticed and said, "What are you doing in your classroom? We want you to teach other teachers how to do this as well." So Diane went on to become a facilitator in the world of conscious discipline, supporting teachers, helping them understand children's behavior on a deeper level and transforming classrooms. And recently, Diane actually quit her job to make an even bigger impact in the world and sharing her message with parents all over the place. So I'm really excited for you to listen to Diane's message. And something else that I want you to pay attention about Diane that really inspires me, and she would tell you that it's no big deal. Diane is old enough to be my mother, and her children are grown adults. And the beauty of this is that it is never too late to do this work. She talks about how doing this work on herself has transformed her relationship with her adult children and how she shows up as a grandmother as well. So she's living proof that it is never too late. We can always reinvest in ourselves. We can always do the work and, more importantly, make a bigger impact in the world. So I'm really excited for you to dive in and check her out. Her link, her website, where you can connect with her is also going to be in the show notes of this program, or the show notes on iTunes. And you can definitely find her all over the place. She is a big part of my community as well. So if you're interested in applying for mastery for this round, you can head on over to heatherchauvin.com/take-back-control. All right, so welcome everyone. I have Diane Sorensen here, and we are going to talk. Oh, look. Don't you love it when somebody calls you at the exact same moment when you decide you're going to record something? This is why they have the airplane mode. Okay. And I'm not editing that out. So, all right. Welcome everybody. This is a sign from the universe that's like, Boundaries are key. We do need to have boundaries are a beautiful thing, and we'll probably talk about that today. Anywho, welcome everyone. I have Diane Sorensen here, and she is, Diane, I don't know how long you've been in my life, but I've told you this again and again and again. You have inspired me, and I know the feelings are mutual, and this is what this community is all about. So the reason why I brought Diane on today is because, one, I wanted her to give a little testimonial of her experiencing or her experience working within the Mastery community and then moving on to Mastery 2.0. She's attended one or two of my retreats. One.
Two of the retreats, yeah.
And the Alive.
Yeah, and two, Alive, and then the first one you did in Ontario.
Yes. Oh yeah, so, you've attended
so two. I've been to 4.
Wow, you're a lifer. Yeah. Okay. But okay, so that's also a testament or testament, right? To your commitment to doing the work. And because every time you've reinvested in yourself or you have attended an event, and you haven't just invested in my process or this community as well, you're constantly looking, how can I, and not from a place of how can I, and then you don't do the work. You do the work and you see results, which is amazing. And that's the whole point. So if somebody is investing in themselves on a personal development level and they're not seeing results, it's either because you have a shitty coach and you need to fire that person and ask for a refund, or you are the shitty client and you're not implementing and willing to get uncomfortable. So welcome, Diane. And another reason why I wanted to have Diane here is because she shows up the way that she has, and she has a passion for conscious discipline, conscious parenting. We'll talk about that. And a little bit about your background, but you started your own business and you are kind of, what do they call it? The resident parenting coach inside of Mastery. And Mastery is the coaching program that we're taking applications for. It's an 8-month experience, and Diane shows up once a month to answer your parenting questions. But the beauty is she's a part of the community as well. So you send her a message and you're like, hey, I have a question. Or yeah, it's just an integrated part of the community, which is a beautiful thing. So Diane, who were you? How long have we been in a relationship?
All right. Well, I came into Mastery towards the end of August in 2018. So it's been almost 2 years. Yeah. Awesome. So, and what a change.
Yeah. So you came in, bring me back to that moment. Like, who was that older version of you 2 years ago?
I came in just not comfortable in my own skin. Just always, worried about what other people were thinking. And I really had a belief that we as a culture need to show up differently for children. And I was also a teacher. And I struggled with parenting in my own life. And I heard you talking one day about how we need to show up different with kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. Okay, I need to get to know this woman. So yeah, that's who I was when I came into the program. I knew that I had a message and that I wanted to help people see how we could be in a relationship with children in a different way, but I didn't know how to do it, or I didn't have the confidence to do it because it was different. And I spent my whole life just trying to fit in, not be different.
I love it.
So that's who I was when I came in.
And you're also a fan of Brene Brown's work. You were a fan of, you were into personal development and kind of thinking outside of the box before listening to the podcast. And I always say, like, people are going to hear you or they're going to see you and be like, oh, because I talked to, I'm not saying older women. I'm going to call you a wise soul. And I've always said to you, and a lot of people have said this to you, man, I wish my mother would do this work. And the interesting part is you were already thinking outside of the box in your industry as a teacher. You were acting differently in the classroom as a teacher. The children's behavior was shifting, and people started to ask you, Diane, what's going on? Like, what are you doing differently? So you actually got promoted to a different position because of your thinking. And that's when you were up-leveling in your life.
Yes. I went from teacher to behavior specialist in an early childhood program to teach other staff how to, use relationship-based practices or being conscious in our teaching and conscious in parenting, because a lot of us were parents too. And that up-leveling was just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And like I said, I just felt like I was coming out of my skin. And so I just felt like I need something more to help me dig deeper, because there's something more there that I'm not looking at. And so through your program, I just kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and, found a lot of things that, wow, I'm still holding on to that. What? But what happened was it gave me the opportunity to start to understand some of those experiences and process through them, and then they dissipate. And I came to know me at a different level. So
I know you're holding back tears. Yeah. You're like just trying to.
Yeah. I am. I get emotional because it was so life-changing. And it changed how I thought about myself, how I see myself, how I show up in the world, and how I show up in all my relationships, which changed how I parent my children, and my relationship with my husband. And my children were adults at this point. So I'm just here to say it is never, ever too late to grow and evolve and become who you were meant to be.
I think you're a beautiful living example of that, because oftentimes people think it's too late. Or I will hear people say, where were you 20 years ago when I was parenting? I needed you then. And I'm like, well, you're still a parent now. Like, your children might be my age, but you're still a parent. Like even if you have 20, 30, 50, 60 years left of your life, 5 years left of your life, 10 years, why are we like, my time is done? Like, there's no time for me to grow. You have had such a transformation in 2 years, and we hang on to this forever and then go, I can't, my kids are old now, or they're out of the house. And you shared something with me, just a beautiful example that, yes, your relationship with your children have evolved, but now your oldest daughter is starting to call you and ask you for parenting advice.
Yeah. Something that, she wouldn't have never done before. And now, because I show up in our relationship differently, and, I don't try to change her or, change my grandkids. And I think a lot of times we do that. We want to change the child because we're so uncomfortable with how their behavior is making us feel, or we make it personal and somehow see our own inadequacies in that behavior and want to change it. So, so that's really changed for me. And even if you have children who are adults, why would you not want to enhance those relationships? And it has enhanced the relationship I have with my grandchildren. We are much more connected than I would have been with them prior. So yeah, you keep growing, you keep evolving. And yeah, and what I also say is, we might get older on the outside, but internally we are ageless. And so, live your life.
I love that. Yeah, it feels great when your spirit just gets lighter and lighter and lighter as you grow, because you're doing the work to let go of what's on your heart, right? Or what's on your soul, and to really dig in and to find yourself.
Yeah, and it's not this end point either. We always want to get from point A to point B, and then after that, we're just happy forever and life is grand. But what happens is we learn how to handle the conflict or the upset that comes in our life, because that's inevitable. We're always going to have, upset or conflict in our life, but we then have tools to move through it. And that's where the empowerment comes, when we are able to move through it.
So I know the women in the mastery community have love you, because that's why you're here. And, you've gone on to work with some of them one-on-one. And you enjoy working with them too, because you say they're very receptive and open, right? Like, people who are in this experience, yes, we're scared. Yes, it's terrifying. You have to be, put on your brave and get a courageous, like, okay, I got this. And we're in this together. Being on the inside, what have you noticed, like, when you're teaching conscious discipline? Maybe like in a nutshell, and we don't have a lot of time, but in a nutshell, what is conscious discipline, and what have you, like, because obviously you've seen success, right? Like, people, what is it about the parent that, their characteristics that allow them to see success? So kind of, what is the definition of conscious parenting, conscious discipline, and what allows them to be successful?
Okay, so conscious parenting, to me, there's so much, but yeah, to me, it is being conscious in our practices. So it's a journey of self-discovery. It's transformational change that results in permanent behavior change for the adult and for the child. And it's really taking generational patterns and breaking those generational patterns and forging a new way. And the children that are coming into, as a teacher's perspective, there's a lot of children struggling with emotions and behavior. And they're here telling us there needs to be a new way. And I absolutely believe that. And how parents experience success with it. I'll just give you an example of, I have had 3 separate parents in the last month explain to me how they were able to help their child who is melting down, help themselves and then their child through that upset and get to the other side. And once they got through it, they felt so empowered, and they saw in their child what a difference that made in that moment. Like that child was like loving them and hugging them, and just completely different, because that parent didn't punish or ignore what that child was feeling, because children show us their insides on the outside. So when they were helped through that, it felt amazing to both the parent and the child. And that's a moment, those are moments, but those are moments that we build on, and that's where the success comes. So it comes through the relationship. Conscious parenting or conscious teaching is really about being conscious of our own thoughts, feelings, and our behavior, how we're showing up in the relationship. It focuses on the relationship rather than changing or stopping the behavior. The behavior gets transformed through the relationship.
I love it. I say that a lot. I love it. I love it. You and I were talking to Dr. Mark Brackett, and his episode will be on the podcast, whether before it's or after this one. And what was I going to say? He was talking about, emotional intelligence. Like that could be, the bigger picture of this emotional intelligence. And then we can label it as conscious parenting or conscious discipline. What was he saying? Like, this isn't, people want the logical, right? They want the immediate ROI. And emotional intelligence is not something that you can just read about. You have to do it. And it's like a rinse and repeat process. It's an implementation. So he said, that's the difficulty. So if someone's like, tell me what to do with my child's behavior, give me the strategy. That's why I found it so difficult to read parenting books. And that's why I didn't want to write one like that, because I see it all the time, especially when you're looking through a perfectionist lens and you're thinking like, your child's having that meltdown and you're like, damn it, where's that book? Like, what page was that strategy on? And you're trying to flip through. You're not trusting yourself. You're not feeling. And it's so important.
Or what did she tell me to say in this instance?
Yes.
Yeah. And so we want bullet points, right? We want, 5 bullet points, do these 5 things, and then behavior's gone. Again, we don't stop it, or we don't change the behavior. It does transform, but it does that through us becoming aware of ourselves.
Yeah.
Really. There's not a quick fix. And when it comes to behavior, I just don't believe in quick fixes. You don't quickly fix a behavior. It transforms through us.
I was going to say, damn it, Diane, you just gave away one of my marketing strategies, which was, this is your quick fix. I'm just kidding. You know that I don't buy into that. But there's something, okay, so here's the point. One, I wanted to have you on to talk about your work, because you are such a big part of the community, and I can't be all things to everybody. And as the community has grown, and it's been such a beautiful network to help people change all aspects of their lives from the inside out, right? Because your pain point of why you want to apply for Mastery might be, or Mastery 2.0 business, is because parenting and you're having a hard time with balance, or you might be quick to anger, or there's some emotional stuff that's kicking up for you, or it might be an imposter syndrome. And as I've been doing this for I've been a parent for 15 years, and I learned about emotional intelligence about 10 years ago, I realized everything is connected. And so when we just get right to the core, so the way the program is designed is you can come in, and if parenting is your big pain point, then that's the filter that you're going to look through when you start the process. But you're still learning about yourself because you are a parent, and it's connected to your child. If you have no interest and you're like, parenting is not my thing, I am here because of my anger issues, I'm here because of my time management, and I want to learn how to manage my time, I'm here because I want to be in a group of badass women who are doing the work together and they're not allowing their excuses to run the show, that's your thing. Like, there's no 2 people on this earth that are experiencing the exact same things. And often, Diane, I'm curious your thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up. What you think you need and what you actually need are 2 different things. Because sometimes they'll say, what do you think you need? And then I'll say, I actually think you need this. And you're like, damn it, you're right. And then you listen because you're coachable. And you're like, Heather, it worked. I'm like, of course it did, because that's how we get in our own way. We think we need something, we go down that path. But when you're surrounded with people that are like, no, that's not what you need this. And you're like, okay, yeah, that actually might work. I can see how that's the core issue. Curious your thoughts on that.
We often steer away from the uncomfortable, and it's the uncomfortable that usually we need. So it kind of reminded me of when my husband is a huge golfer. And so I kind of try to golf along with him. And so he was giving me I was asking him, how do I get this ball, to go up here and this, whatever. And so he was showing me how to hold the club and do that. And I'm like, well, that just doesn't seem right, but okay, I'll try it. It wasn't comfortable, but I did. And I hit the ball and I looked at him and I said, oh, it worked. And he's like, yeah. So that's kind of the same thing that you're saying, Heather, is that we often resist what it is that's going to get us to the next point because it doesn't feel comfortable. And we're all about wanting to feel comfortable. And so that's something I really noticed in my life, that I was always chasing the comfortable. I mean, if it felt uncomfortable, then I went the other way and ended up feeling stuck in my life. And so when I worked with you, Heather, you made me get uncomfortable. Well, you didn't make me, but you suggested things and I got uncomfortable and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through it anyway. And so I really realized that, often we do resist what we need the most because.
And then once you do the action, the kind of like the golfing analogy, you're like, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal. Right. Like at the beginning of our conversation today, I was like, oh, my manuscript is done. And you're like, oh my God, how do you feel? I'm like, I'm still me. But it's interesting because it's the fear of, right? It's the perception that we have. And so what do you say to that woman who is considering, she's been listening to the podcast for a while, or she's been a part of this community and she keeps leaning in, but she's really uncomfortable to fill out that application. What if, her money stuff is coming up? What if her partner doesn't agree? What if she fails? Like all the fears, doubts, and worries. What do you say to her when she literally just has to fill out an application and choose herself? Because when you choose yourself, it makes a bigger impact.
I would say you are worth it. And everybody in your life, your partner, your children, whoever is in your life, they are worth it too, because they will benefit from this because you will show up in your life in a different way. So I would say do it. You're worth it. And the money stuff comes up. And now I think, wow, I mean, the money, this has been so transformative that the money doesn't matter. So do it. And I felt like when I first did it, I felt like, oh my God, it's like I'm standing on a cliff and I'm ready to jump off this cliff. And then when you did, it was like, oh, it was only a step down.
Yeah.
It wasn't this big free fall.
Yeah.
It was, so.
And I always say to people, and hopefully you get this from me, but I will never take food off your table. And if I authentically feel, one, you're not a good fit or you're not ready yet, I'm going to point you in the right direction and say, go do this and then come back. But if you're just challenging a core belief about yourself that you're terrified to confront, you have to realize by saying, I'm not worthy of investing and putting money, because we value money, which is why we don't value free things, which is why people will sign up for free things and not follow through with them, because money is like we're putting our power there. And if you can't say that to yourself, like your brain will go to crazy places when you choose to say yes to yourself. But you're saying, I am worthy of this power. I am worthy of this energy. I am worthy of this. And then, you're doing the work and things are happening. But you're also saying, I am worthy of respect in this relationship. I am worthy of feeling good. I am worthy of not dying. I am worthy of not feeling like shit. I am like, there's so much that you are saying yes to. It has nothing to do with the money. But again, yes, there is this logical, it's not woo woo. Like there is magic behind it. There is the manifesting part, but I will never, if somebody's like, I'm on welfare, like I can't even pay my bills now. I'm $1 million in debt. Like I can't even rub two sticks together. One, I'll challenge you on how can you, and I'll say, great. How are you going to start making money? How are you doing your debt reduction? Go do that and then come back. But if you're just terrified to swipe a credit card because you have such a negative relationship with debt or whatever, I get that. But you also have to create a plan to get out of it and challenge your thinking and think differently. Because if you're not doing that, that's showing up in your parenting. That is showing up in your health. That is showing up in your marriage. That is showing up every aspect of your life. So even if you don't fill out the application, just know that you are worthy. And if shit scares you and you feel like you're about to jump out of an airplane, you're pretty close to, you're getting outside your comfort zone and growth is happening. So thank you, Diane. I feel like we could talk forever. Those that are listening and want to join the next round of Mastery or Mastery Business, your next step is to go to Heather Chauvin. So my name, CHAUVIN.com/take back control, like take back control. And then, what we're going to do is set you up with an intro call after I read your intake form, if I feel it's a good fit. And then we'll talk about the structure of the program and everything like that. And there's more details on that application. Magic is going to unfold. But thank you, Diane. You're living proof that anything is possible.
Hey, Mom is in Control listeners. It's Sarah.
And me, Sasha.
And we are the co-hosts of the podcast Dear White Women, which is a show that eases you into uncomfortable conversations about racism. So we know anti-racist work is at the top of mind for everyone right now, and we really believe that anti-racist work is not a moment, it's not a thing that we're doing right now, it's a lifestyle. And so for us, we're making our work concrete, practical, and accessible for the long haul. And Heather invited us to come on her podcast to share just one of the resources we're committed to, which is our monthly virtual book club. So we've started a Patreon, and if you head over to our podcast website, dearwhitewomen.com, we would love for you to join us. The book club starts in August, so you'll have time to grab the book and start reading if you join us now. Thanks again.